sponsor today, and I'm thrilled to be in a room full of people who care so much about this community. Fishers is a place defined by smart growth, innovation, and collaboration, and we're honored to be part of that story. As the city's official health and wellness partner, we share a belief that well-being should be part of everyday life for everyone who calls Fishers home. From community gathering spaces such as the Agri-Park and the Fishers Community Center that brings people together, Fishers consistently invests in quality of life. Those values line up with ours at IU Health, where in 2024 we invested more than $1.15 billion statewide to support research, reduce medical bills for eligible patients, and strengthen partnerships that help make Indiana healthier. And through our work with the IU School of Medicine, residents here benefit from both world-class care and training of the next generation of healthcare providers right here close to home. Our connection to Fishers runs deep, and you can see the growth of IU Health Fishers Hospital. Since opening our new medical tower in 2025, we celebrated our 100th delivery in our maternity unit, and Riley Children's Health Emergency Department continues to ramp up in volume, keeping our kiddos close to home for emergent care. All of this reflects the heart of our Fishers Community Impact Project, where we doubled our hospital on-campus services and expanded physician offices in the community, improving your healthcare access. Also, we renamed IU Health Saxony to IU Health Fishers, reinforcing this is truly your community hospital. As a non-for-profit system, we're committed to making high-quality care not just accessible but affordable, and IU Health's leading the way. We're proud to stand alongside the city as a partner, supporting Fishers' economic vitality and the health of the families who work and live here. I want to thank Mayor Fadness for his leadership and for continuing to include IU Health in the vision of what's ahead. And thank you to the City of Fishers for embracing us as your health and wellness partner. We're honored to support this community and for many years to come. And now it's my great pleasure to introduce someone who has guided Fishers through extraordinary growth. Please join me in welcoming Mayor Scott Fadness.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for taking time out of your extraordinarily busy schedules to spend a little time today to learn about what's going on here in the city of Fishers. And as you know, Fishers is synonymous with lots of things going on. And it's an exciting time to be a part of this community. I want to thank my city council for being here, other elected officials for being here, and all of the business leaders and community members that are here as well. Before we get started on the rest of my presentation today, there's an individual here that's a guest of mine that I want to talk a little bit about. And this individual I've gotten to know over the years, and it's Senator Kyle Walker. And Kyle, for those of you that don't know him, has been our senator for a little over 1.5 terms or so here as our state senator. But his impact has been incredible. And I want to talk not only about what he did when he was a senator, our senator, but I also want to talk about how he did it. Because I learned a lot personally about political leadership, what it means to be a public servant from his time in office. So for those of you that maybe don't track what each legislator does, I want to list a few of the things that Kyle's been involved in that have had a direct impact back here in the city of Fishers. So, for one, the Crime Gun Intelligence Center. We've talked a lot about this on stage over the last several years about the impact that we're having in terms of fighting violence in Indianapolis and around our donut counties. None of that would be possible. The funding would not be possible without Senator Walker, who came in and learned from Chief Gephardt and I and others about what we wanted to do, and he went down there and he got it done. This building, the arena, when I went to Kyle and said, hey, we have this big vision of what we want to do here in our city. We want to create this amazing place. And oh, by the way, it's pretty expensive, but we think it can have a huge impact on the regional economy. Would you be willing to shepherd through the legislation a professional sports designation area? Kyle took up that task and navigated through the Senate and the House. And I don't know if you know this, but when Fishers or Carmel or Hamilton County is asking for something at the state legislature, it's not necessarily warmly received by the folks in Lagodi or otherwise. And Kyle got it done. You know, the most impactful legislation that Kyle took on was changing the income tax formula, which I know I've droned on about year in and year out. But I can tell you today, after he shepherded that language through, we're building parks that we otherwise wouldn't be able to build because of what Kyle did. That's the impact that Kyle Walker has had on our city in just a short time in the state legislature. Those are big things, but it's not just what he did, it's how he did it. You know, Kyle's a guy of principle. He stood up in controversial issues that we don't even like to talk about at cocktail parties and shared his opinions and thoughts about reproductive rights and redistricting. And regardless of whether you agree with Kyle Walker's stance, what impressed me was he was willing to take a stance, but he was also willing to sit down with the people that thought vehemently against his values or his principles. He'd sit down and he would treat them with dignity and respect, have a conversation. That's the kind of political leadership that's a rarity anymore in our society. And although I'm saddened that Kyle has decided to hang it up and no longer be a part of the political process, his impact on our city will live on beyond today, tomorrow, and well into the future. So if you could join me today, we've got a small token of our appreciation for Senator Walker. Senator Walker, will you please come up here? First of all, Senator Walker, this might be the heaviest memento I've ever given someone. Secondly, it's a part of the Nickel Plate Trail. And you have no idea how hard it was for me to get this. I got sued 3 times just to get this material. But Senator Walker, thank you for your years of service. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you. Now, I've been to a lot of State of the Cities, both my own and others, and there's this immense pressure to do what I would call the same thing that my 5-year-old enjoys on Fridays at daycare. It's called show and share. The opportunity to share with you the thing that I find most exciting and that everyone else will envy. That is the goal of the majority of the state of the cities that I've been to, including my own. And today we're gonna talk about those things, but I have a lot of other things that I'd like to share with you. So bear with me as I breeze through the show and share portion of this presentation today, and know that there's a lot going on in our city, and it's a very exciting time. Okay, I had to start here because I know after last year's State of the City, the one takeaway that the media and everyone else had was that the city of Fishers was going to get a second Target. And I think it would be absent duty if I didn't share with you where we are with said Target. So Target is under construction, for all of you that were wondering, and it plans to be open in 2027. Formula One. This is such an exciting project. I had the opportunity recently to go tour this facility, and I know it's been talked about for a long time, and everyone's kind of wondering, what's this really going to be like? And I can tell you this will transform the 96th Street corridor. It will transform our community and really the entire region. And what I think you're going to see happen now as they get a car on the track is they're going to refocus their efforts on what this headquarters is going to look like. And I can tell you the ownership team has a real desire and a passion to build out a vision around the headquarters that rivals anything, frankly, in the world as they race on the global stage. They plan to have the actual facility open by the end of 2026. It wasn't that long ago we cut the ribbon on this facility, and I said that we were going to have $1 billion worth of development all around it, and that this was going to be a catalyst for growth and development. And today I want to orientate you to the transformation that is about to occur in this particular area of our city. So as you came in today, you probably saw the cranes in the air just down the road. That's the Union Project. If we would scan in a little closer, you can see some of the renderings, which I think you've all seen probably before in different bits and pieces, but now it's actually coming up and out of the ground, and it's a very exciting time. What's also exciting are some of the tenants that have now decided to call this Union development home. Cunningham's going to have an exciting 2-story restaurant, and you can read through the list, but Flower Child, Oakmont, Maple, Thai food. Again, a giant step forward in our efforts to create a culinary environment here in the city of Fishers. Now let's move a little further down the road. We'll skip past Doug True's office at Forum, and we'll look directly out. If you were to walk out here and look directly onto the plaza, to your right, there's a big fenced-in open lot. That's called the Crossing Flats. It's a luxury multifamily and retail development, and that will break ground in 2026. So construction will commence on that project while the Union is also under construction. Directly out in front of us, you have construction already underway for the BW development, which will have 3 to 4 restaurants, which we're excited to announce here in the very near future of what some of those restaurants will be. I think everyone will be thrilled and excited. So you have this plaza starting to enclose. It's going to be a dynamic area. Now, many of you are familiar with the Chicken and Pickle announcement, and ultimately, Chicken and Pickle decided not to build on the timeline that we all wanted to see. And so Megan Baumgartner, our economic development director, has been diligently working to find an adequate substitute on that site, because it's such a unique piece of property. As you exit here today, to your left, it's an incredible spot right along the plaza. So today, if I had an announcement, show and share, if you will, we're going to be breaking ground on a luxury lifestyle hotel that will break ground very soon, May 2026. That will have not only a hotel, but a variety of retail opportunities as well. The architecture of this building is truly extraordinary, and I think will elevate the engagement and the fit and feel of this area once again. To just close out in this particular area, what I will share with you is that we're not done developing and growing in this area. There are other announcements that will be coming here in the next few months that will further transform this portion of our community. And Doug True and the employees at the Forum Credit Union, my sincere apologies for the amount of construction that will occur over the next 24 to 48 months. But that's synonymous with this area. And what I'm excited about is the market has responded to our vision for what we're creating here. And when it's done, I think it will be an extraordinary entertainment district for years to come. Downtown is vibrant as well. Many of you have seen construction being undertook for CityView, which is a 55 and older luxury apartment development. We're excited to have these folks in downtown. They have 2 things that I do not have: discretionary time and discretionary money. Those things support our local economy in downtown Fishers. If we go up the road, there's some interesting things happening at Exit 210. A long, long time ago, we had aspired for that to be a medical service corridor. And although it has taken some time, our friends at IU Health just announced a significant expansion, and it's exciting to hear that we've had over 100 kids born in their new state-of-the-art facility, hundreds of millions of dollars invested in that campus. But just down the road, there's also some extraordinary development occurring. 3 different medical service companies have announced that they're going to build right next to Central Indiana Orthopedics. It's the type of vision we've been waiting for Exit 210, to really define it as something. And I think this medical service corridor is going to be an important chapter for Exit 210, and it's complementary to that area. And I think we're going to have some more announcements around medical services in that area that will further progress that image and that vision. One of the bright points over the last few years, honestly, has been our efforts around life sciences. It's been incredible to see a new industry born right here in our city that wasn't here 10, 20 years ago. And its impact is incredible. Just this last year, 650 new jobs, average salary of $70,000, $500 million in investment. When you roll that into what has occurred since 2020 in life sciences in our little town. We're a little town, 107,000 people. We've had $1.2 billion of investment and nearly 1,854 jobs. Think about that in a community of 107,000, of which about a third of those people can't work because they're under the age of 18. We've been able to create nearly 2,000 jobs that pay well above the county average in income. So that concludes my show and share section. All right. Yeah. I just wanted to do that once, so I appreciate you guys having the opportunity to do that. It's really not what I wanted to come to talk to you about today. It's a rarity that I have the opportunity and the privilege to talk to you about what my thoughts are on a variety of topics. You know, it's such a strange privilege to be able to come up and have people actually care what you might have to say about a variety of topics, and I don't take that lightly. And so today I wanted to talk to you about really three things that have been on my mind. One, political leadership, and my evolving thought about what that needs to be in today's modern society. Two, what does it take to be a great city in today's world, in today's economy? And three, what keeps me up at night? And how are we going to solve for that? So let's talk about the first. I know these might look like cheesy icons, but stay with me for a minute. You probably haven't seen me over the last few years around the political scene or the cocktail hours or chasing headlines or being in the news or trying to hit at the speaker series. There's a reason behind that. I focus my time and attention on some other things. One, those three guys that you see at the top, those are my boys, Lincoln, Hudson, and Jackson. And they're like every other young, rambunctious kid in Fishers or probably anywhere else. I spend the majority of my days when I'm done working for you on the sidelines of a soccer field or basketball court, which, by the way, I'm coaching fifth grade basketball. We're undefeated. Thank you, Todd Zimmerman, for that zone defense. It was incredible. But what I learned, so an insight I gained when I went out to the soccer fields, there's a group of dads that I have the opportunity to stand by every day at practice. And I would leave City Hall, and I would be thinking that whatever I'm dealing with is the most important thing out there. Like, everyone is paying attention to this particular issue. And I would get to the field, and I'd be like, oh, man, they're going to be hammering me about this issue the entire practice. And when I got there, I would bring it up, and they would say, what are you talking about? You know what they wanted to talk about? They wanted to talk about their kids. They wanted to talk about their job. They wanted to talk about the football game last night. They didn't want to talk about what I had going on. Second one, I've been spending a lot of time at my church, Heartland Church. And for those of you that go to Heartland Church, you know about 21 days of prayer. And in the mornings, they have these incredible moments where kids and adults can come together and pray. And you have the opportunity to put a sticky note up, or however many you would like, and ask people to pray for the things that are on your heart that you're concerned about. And over the course of those 21 days, the church is transformed into sticky notes everywhere. And every time I walk into the church, I take a minute to read some of those sticky notes. People are concerned about illness. They're concerned about finances. They're concerned about relationships that they have. They're concerned about work. And what I think I come to the conclusion is that everybody has a bucket, and it gets filled up with all kinds of stuff. It gets filled up with your kids. It gets filled up with your work, relationships, friends, illness, financial troubles. And the problem with modern day political leadership is there's a narcissism to anybody that runs for office. And there's a belief today that I need to consume as much of that space in your bucket as I can. And my goal every day is to grab your attention. Can I get you to pay attention to me? Can I get you to like me on Facebook? Will you watch a video of me? And I think that's the wrong approach to modern day political leadership. In fact, I go to these panels all the time, and They want to talk about leadership and leadership and leadership. We don't ever talk about service. You see, if you start with service, you realize that you lead when you need to, and when you don't, you fade into the background, and you do the work that people expect you to do, but you don't try to consume their entire attention span, because people have more important things to worry about. And I'm so proud of our city council and my leadership team, because that's the value system that we've adopted. We don't believe that we need to consume your bucket of priorities, but instead, we're going to go work for you. We're going to do our job. We're going to serve you. But I don't want you to think that service means that we abdicate our role as a leader. Make no question about it. If the community needs me to lead, I'll step into that role as I have and I always would, because it's part of the job. But I don't need to consume your every waking minute. That's the type of political leadership that we want to continue to develop and grow and nurture here in the city of Fishers. And I'm so grateful to have a city council and a leadership team that frankly are aligned in that effort. The second thing that I wanted to talk to you about was what makes a great city. I just mentioned my leadership team. And I will tell you, and I've always said this, my biggest accomplishment, if there is one, is the team that I have around me. I get nothing done without the men and women that are a part of my team. And so every year, we go on a retreat. And this is an opportunity for me to just pour out what's in my head about where we're going and what we're doing. You know, Elliot Hulker and I were just talking the other day, our deputy mayor, about we set goals every year with each one of our department heads. And this year, after we got done talking to our department heads, we were so encouraged and so inspired because there wasn't a single department head that came in and said, oh man, what are you going to make me do next year? No, they were looking for the challenge. They were seeking the opportunity. They were saying, what's next? Give it to me. Where are we going? What are we doing? And so at this retreat, I shared what I think makes a great city. And you can take this for what it's worth. It's just Scott's ideas. I didn't chat GPT this one. Don't even know how. There's some basic things that I think build a community or a great city in today's modern day era. First and foremost, at the base level, there's safety. And there's the perception of safety, and then there's a reality of safety. And we have to be good at both. That's why our police and fire department won't forfeit our relationship with our residents. Because there are things, believe it or not, that we do from a police and fire standpoint that aren't actually things that are going to make you safer, but they make you feel safer. We don't discount that. That's important. That's why you see coffee with a cop. That's why you see police officers high-fiving kids. That's why you see a fireman in a cul-de-sac talking to families. Perception of safety is important. But also the reality of safety is important. And the work that happens there is oftentimes behind the scenes in groups and organizations like our crime reduction unit, crimes against children, crimes, gun crimes, all those different efforts and initiatives, even our patrol division, even our ambulances and EMS, our cardiac save rates, all of those things are the things that Chief Ragsdale, Chief Gebhardt, they obsess about to try to make sure that reality matches perception. Opportunity. For as long as I've known, people will climb mountains and swim oceans to seek out opportunity. And there are two types of opportunity they seek. One is economic opportunity. Have we created opportunities for people to better their lives financially? The work that Megan and her team, our economic development director, do every day, it's a higher purpose than getting an IBJ media hit. It's about ensuring that when people move here, they find opportunity. I was recently in a conversation with a guy, and he said, hey, my daughter just graduated from the University of Southern Florida. And I said, oh, where's she going to go? And I was prepared for, well, she's going to go to Tampa, going to go to Boulder, going to go to Nashville. You know what he said? He said, well, she got a degree in pharmaceuticals, and she's got a job at Incog She's moving back to Fishers. That doesn't happen without opportunity. But there's an even more powerful opportunity: education. As a dad, I can tell you there is no greater driving force than for me to create an opportunity for my children to have a better life than I've had. And everything that I can learn about and know instinctually would tell me that education is the gateway to that. Again, people will cross oceans and climb mountains to make sure their kids are afforded this opportunity. I want to foot stomp on this for a second and maybe be a little bit uncomfortable. You know, over the last 5 or 6 years, I've borne witness to us adults in our community on the far right and on the far left trying to bring our political agendas into the confines of our schools, where we're trying to develop and nurture that opportunity for our kids. And I've also seen it in not the big P politics, but the small P politics around power grabs and the desperate need to be relevant. Well, that perception in the headlines that you see doesn't match up with the reality of who our school system is. Look at the numbers that these kids and these educators and these administrators have produced despite some of our community's efforts to derail. 98.8% graduation rate. 96% iReads pass. You know what was so funny the other day? I was having lunch with Superintendent Mapes. And I was talking about this 96% iRead pass rate. And he goes, yeah, well, we're testing our second graders now. and he told me the percentage of kids that have it. I go, oh, that's great. That's amazing that many kids passed the iRead at second grade. He goes, no, you don't understand. I want to know the kids that didn't. Because I want to go find those kids. I want to get them the help they can get, so that becomes 100%. That's the laser focus on the things that will develop and nurture opportunity for our kids that really are impactful. And Superintendent Mapes, you'll be happy to know this. We recently did a national citizen survey. We're about halfway through it. And we got some preliminary results. And 86% of the respondents said that they believe our schools are either excellent or good. And 91% of the respondents said that they would refer other people to your school system. So Superintendent Mapes, as long as you stay on this course and continue to focus on kids being the most important thing, my administration, this city council, will support you 100% in the efforts. Thank you for all your work. All right, this one isn't as fun. Taxes and costs. It's great to have opportunity and safety, but if we're priced out of the ability to live here, if we're priced out of the ability from taxes, then obviously this whole system breaks down. The good news is we've driven a lot of efficiencies, and I give Elliot Halkern, our deputy mayor, and our operational team a lot of credit for this. They don't always get the limelight. They don't get the headlines, but this is real meaningful work. We have the lowest municipal tax rate in all of Hamilton County. For 6 years in a row, we have flat employee health care costs. That's not just to the employee, that's to the employer. Our health care has not moved in 6 years. And we have 5 employees per 1,000. What does that mean? Compared to our counterparts of similar population, we have half as many employees as South Bend or Evansville. So those are all good news. The bad news is we're just like all of you. When you're looking at your home budget or your business budget, costs are skyrocketing. The cost of resurfacing a mile of road went from $160,000 in 2021 to $282,000 in 2025. Patrol vehicles in 2020 were $53,000. Today they're $64,000. That's why if you ever see Chief Gephardt rubbing his forehead profusely after having a pursuit where a car gets wrecked, he's doing the math. Ladder trucks went from $900,000 to $2 million with a 3 to 4 year wait time. So please, for the love of God, do not run into a ladder truck. This last one might seem a little squishy to all of you, but I'll tell you what, in today's world where people can move wherever they want, it's so vitally important. Dynamism, a sense of energy about your community. You could feel it when you come into a community, and you know it when it's not there. Now, in our community, I think about it in kind of three different ways, if you will. One is a sense of community. Two is, believe it or not, culinary. And the third one's entertainment. So let's talk about each one here briefly. Sense of community. Our parks department has had record growth in our farmers market attendance, in our Tuesday night summer concert series, in our Saturday concerts at the amphitheater. And this year we doubled down and invested in a significant way into what is now our Fishers Community Center. I want to share these numbers with you to show you the impact of this facility. Our goal in year 3 of operations, keep in mind we've been open for 4 months, our goal was to have around 10,000 members by the end of year 3. Today we stand at 13,000 members, and the next number is staggering. 53,923 people have signed up for the free pass to come in and use the walking track and the playground, and 300 dogs as well. I was recently at the community center early in the morning working out, and this story is really just for me to have the opportunity to tell you that I work out. I was there and I got done working out. I thought I'd go walk on the track. So I started walking on the track, had my headphones on, and I noticed these two guys, they're maybe middle-aged, and they were having a very serious conversation. I could tell just by their mannerisms. And one of them started tearing up, and I saw the other guy in a traditional guy fashion just put his arm around the guy and patted him on the shoulder. I thought to myself, you know, as corny as it may sound, by creating these spaces and places and investing in here, we've created these opportunities for people to support one another and be a community. And I think that's so vitally important. I want to thank Jake and Mike and the team at the community center. It was not a guaranteed outcome that we could handle this amount of people and do it well and everyone have a great experience. And so far, I think they've knocked the cover off the ball, and I'm so grateful for that team. Moving on. When I ran for office the first time, it was unbelievable. Every time I'd go into a living room, they tell me, hey, schools are great. You know, taxes I can tolerate, safe place. But for the love of God, would you find some better restaurants? And we heard it over and over and over again. Well, we focused on that, believe it or not, because it's important. Even in Megan and I's efforts around economic development, we hear it from CEOs. Where am I going to go entertain people? Where are the unique culinary opportunities? When Anna and I went out to dinner Saturday night, it was incredible to just see people out and about, stopping at tables and saying hello to one another. You may not believe this, but in the last 7 years, there's been 100 new restaurants that have come to our little city. 100. It's pretty significant. And then finally, entertainment. My goodness, you're standing in the biggest bet we made on entertainment. We knew it would be important, this idea of proximity. People want to live and work and be entertained in close proximity. So we thought to ourselves, could we create a place that would allow for that to occur? Could we be successful at it? We're a year into this facility. And as we closed out that year, we sat down with Mitch and the team here that run this facility on our behalf. And I'm really pleased with the outcome. We had 141 events here. We had 527,000 tickets sold. And a third of our events were sold out. And it's so incredible to see the variety that has bestowed this facility. I mean, whether you're talking about bull riding, comedians, volleyball, hockey, football, it's all been here. And we've watched our kids graduate from here. We mourned the loss of a student here. This has become part of our community. This is where life is happening. It's exactly what we intended to have happen. So, in my humble opinion, these are the things that are elemental to what makes a great city in today's modern society. So somebody asked me the other day, what keeps you up at night? And I referred them back to a conversation that I had with my team at our retreat. So bear with me as I talk to you about the third piece of my conversation today. And that is the life cycle of a city. And again, these are Scott's ideas, not necessarily academically tested. But from what I've learned and what I love, which is cities and local government, I think about this all the time, there seems to be an inevitability to how cities work, particularly suburban communities. You start off shiny and new, and then you become stable, and then you decline, and then you redevelop, and then you start the cycle all over again. And one would probably argue that today we're in the new/stable environment. And in that time frame, we see unprecedented prosperity. Fishers obviously has been named several times as one of the best places to live in America. Home values continue to climb. Investments in quality of life, educational attainment. It seems as though that our existence and our current state of affairs is inevitable. But there's a problem with that mentality. It breeds complacency. And complacency is the first step towards decline. When we start to assume that everything will work out, when we start to assume that we don't need to take another risk, when we start to assume that Fishers will always be on top, that's the beginning of the end. And so you start that slowed step towards decline. And the problem with decline and the point to where you get to disparity is it's a painful process. You can look around at communities today. That's not a short ride, ladies and gentlemen. That's a long, drawn-out experience for a community where businesses close down, home values don't hold up, school attainment drains, the very sense and vitality, the very energy, all those things on the pyramid that we just talked about are under attack to a point where the economics get so bad that real estate investment and others go, you know what? It's almost bad enough where the price points are so low. Now I'll come back in and reinvest. And we'll start this whole cycle over again. Well, what I was talking to my team about at the retreat was, man, I don't really want to preside over that. I didn't sign up for that. I don't want to be a part of that. And so as a leadership team, what are we going to do? Are we going to tap out when it comes time to deviate from stability? Or can we break the cycle? Which is a big question. I don't know that I know that we can, but I know the only way that we have a possibility of doing it is through action. So, can we short circuit this? Can we eliminate that point of disparity and decline and go from stable to redevelopment and renewal? And how would we go about doing that? So here are some ideas I have about how we might be able to go do that. And they're big, high-level ideas, but in the coming months, my intention is to follow up these big ideas with a series of proposals to our city council to see if we can't just do just that, to defy the standard cycle of a community. And keep in mind, this isn't a discussion for today or tomorrow or 5 weeks from now or even 6 months from now. The things that I'm talking about are 10, 20, 30, 40 years in the future. But the decisions we make today will have an impact on what it looks like in Fishers 20 or 30 years from now. So here are my ideas on how we break that cycle. First and foremost, can we create and can we maintain a culture of evolution and adaptation? And that's not just within the confines of City Hall or the confines of the school system. Do we collectively as a community, our business leaders, are we all willing to have the courage to look around what's happening in the world and say, I know what we were, I know what we are, but I know we have to change in order to be successful in the future. That shouldn't be guaranteed that that's going to occur. I've literally spent the last decade of my life trying to ensure that Fishers has that culture both internally and externally. And I could tell you, having worked on the front lines of that, it's fragile. It's very fragile. Because change is scary. Something different it breeds apprehension. We have to take those lessons we've learned in political leadership from guys like Kyle and others to lead through it. And I think we can do it, but we have to maintain a culture of evolution and adaptation. We need to be bold and strategic in investment and redevelopment. My call to our city council is, what if we said we're not going to tolerate a period of decline? While we have the resources, we're going to invest and reinvest so that we're in a perpetual state of renewal, a renaissance, if you will, of Fishers. Not sit around and say, well, we did it. Cross the finish line. Check the box. Look at all the things we used to have done. Instead, let's be bold and be strategic in our investments. And it's hard. People don't like to talk about spending money in government, especially if right now things seem pretty good. It's really hard to make a compelling argument to someone, but we have to. In order to have the resources to be able to invest in our community, Elliot Holker and I were having this conversation the other day. We have a really simple philosophy when it comes to financial management of our city. And I think John Weingart, our financial chair of the council, has the same. Run government as efficiently as humanly possible from an operational standpoint so that you can take every spare nickel you have to put back into infrastructure and amenities that make life better and livable for the people you serve. If we follow that, if we adhere to that, we have an opportunity to do the very thing that we're talking about. You get what you tolerate. And I mean that across the board. Fishers has a high standard. Chief Ragsdale in our fire department, Chief Gebhardt in our police department. They maintain the highest level of standards for professionalism for our police and firemen. We can't compromise on that. We can't compromise on what we expect from public employees. We can't compromise on what you expect from your public leaders. You can't compromise on the educational excellence you want for your schools. You can't compromise on what you want to see in your city. There's a reason we mow the interchanges on I-69. It's to send a message. You won't find a piece of trash on I-69 in our community. Why? Because we're setting a standard and we're keeping it. That's a mantra in our organization, but it can't just be within the confines of City Hall. It has to be within the culture of our community. And that means you hold me accountable. You hold our council accountable. Hold each other accountable. Finally, looking past our political boundaries. Fishers will not be okay if all we focus on is Fishers. I had a meeting the other day with my department heads, and I just looked around the table and I said, look, I think each and every one of you is probably one of the best at what you do in our state, in our country, and certainly in our region. And the region, the state, needs you. They need your ideas. Fishers has to be present in the conversation about big ideas for the future of our region and for the future of our state. Not for vanity, not for arrogance, but because it matters to our residents. Where our central Indiana region goes is where Fishers will go. So we have to be in those conversations. Our chiefs need to be in conversations about risks that cross political boundaries. Our engineering team needs to be in a conversation about infrastructure that has an impact on the city of Fishers. Our economic development team needs to talk about a global strategy for central Indiana. And our political leadership needs to show up, not to complain, not to pound our chest, but to do the hard work of actually coming up with ideas that might have an impact on not just the state, but for Fishers as well. So if we do all those things, culture of evolution and adaptation, bold and strategic investments in redevelopment, innovative government service delivery, setting the standard and keeping it, looking past our political boundaries, I think we have a really good shot of breaking that cycle, that traditional cycle of new, stable, complacency, decline, disparity, redevelopment. That's the effort that I think our team will undertake in the coming months and years. So as you look at items that come up before you, actions that we're taking. I want you to understand that we're doing that through the lens of this effort. Finally today, I will tell you unequivocally that this speech is not the hardest speech I've given this week. I had the opportunity to talk to Haley's dad today, and I've gotten to know him a little bit over the last several dark hours that our community has experienced. And I know you're all aware, most of you are aware, I'm sure, of what happened to Haley. And I know that our police department did extraordinary work to make sure that when evil came here and took Haley away, that our police department picked up the track and found Haley. Unfortunately, she's not coming home alive, but Haley is going to come home, and there's going to be some semblance of closure for the family. And as importantly, our Fishers Police Department brought justice and accountability to the doorstep of this monster. But in my conversation with Haley's dad, he did not want you to focus on what happened to Haley. He wants you to focus on who she was. And so if I could, I'm just going to share a little bit about who she was. And this is in the conversation with Mom and Dad when Chief and I met with her Sunday morning, and again today when he and I were talking. Haley was a bright, smart, beautiful, hardworking 17-year-old girl. She was a great big sister who never missed an opportunity to tuck her little sister to bed. She was a good friend. She was loved by her family, and she loved her family. Now, as we close out today, I would ask, I don't need an applause for this speech or the work that we've done over the last year. Instead, I'd ask you to take a moment, a quiet reflection, think about if you could make a little room in your individual bucket to find time to think about or pray or even take action to support Haley and her family as they walk through this living hell. And if we do that and we do that well, we as a group of people can be more than just a city, but truly a community. Thank you.